Yep, I'm back, and I can't say back and I'm better. I'm back and I'm depressed. But it's December 1st, Happy Chrysler or whatever. Merry Christmas. We feel happy about stuff, sort of. Even though this is going to be well, it's debatable on if I feel happy or not. I'll make another video on that sometime soon. I'm feeling drained in every single way you can imagine. But for now, let's talk about self harm. For me, I know that, let's see. Self harm, I didn't truly understand it growing up, but maybe that's just because I was privileged enough to like my body and to still like a lot of the blessings I had. I didn't like my family, I didn't like my school life, and I had a lot to just like dislike overall about the general state of being, but I never thought to like hurt myself. Why? Because I'm me and I'm fucking awesome. I look in the mirror and I love myself and I'm better than everyone else. Like, not on some narcissistic shit, but simply put, if you're in an environment where it's like, hey, we get off on bullying people and harassing people and treating them like shit all the time just for pure, like, blood and sport. I say this quote all the time, but I mean it. Like, I try not to feed the wolf in me that says I'm better than other people, but y'all keep fucking feeding it scraps under the table when I'm not looking and then complaining that it's getting bigger and bigger. So y'all need to get your fucking act right. Some of y'all, but some of you are lovely people, and I am blessed to know you. You are also just as wonderful and deserve to love yourself. But anyway, I was talking to this dude. He has a habit of self harm, and it just is interesting. Like, I felt seen by him. I kind of liked it. Talking to him for a lot of reasons. I made a few videos about him. But I remember the very first time I actually did, like, self harm. Ever. I don't remember the full context of why, but I remember I was like 15 or 16 or something. There was a house party going on in my place where my brother and sister were like having a bunch of guests over, and they were rowdy and unhygienic, and that's not cool for my autistic ass. And then, of course, I can't leave my room without people staring at me or making me feel like I'm unwelcomed and shit, and it's uncomfortable and unbearable, and I hate it. And also, on top of that, I think I was just going through a very stressful time. I really don't remember what it was over, but if I recall correctly, I think I lost a few friends. Someone I cared about stopped talking to me, and it was just a rough time. And I had never felt that level of emotional overwhelm before in my life. I thought to myself, I don't know what I want to do, but I was just sitting there on the pink tile countertop in my bathroom. I couldn't even dare to look at myself in the mirror. I just thought to myself, I want to do something, because I felt such like a throbbing, like the pounding in my chest, the burning in my mind. Like I couldn't think about anything else aside from just everything that was stressing me out. It almost was making me tremble from how over fucking whelming the anxiety and the stress and the depression was. Knowing me, I also wouldn't be shocked if this was around the time my PTSD was getting worse from all the sexual trauma I was dealing with. And I just remember I pulled out some cuticle trimmers that you use, and I had this splinter at the bottom of my foot that was bothering me. And I kind of thought to myself, this seems like a good excuse because I know it would hurt, but it would hurt the least, and I can tell that I still need to feel some sort of pain to distract me. Like a physical pain to kind of make me not think about the emotional pain. Like, you know how parents say that stupid phrase, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about? It's like suddenly you aren't gonna be thinking about like, oh no, I'm sad because I dropped my ice cream that we just got on the floor of this market. You're gonna be thinking about like, oh no, I don't want a belt on my skin, that hurts more. Kind of like that logic. So it like, and anyway, let's just say like it was a little tricky to get the splinter out, but I also carved a bit deeper in my foot. I made an actual hole in my foot. It didn't hit muscle or anything, no. Luckily, I also had some pretty calloused skin and a lot of like, so like it was, let's just say I carved a hole in my foot, a very very large one, and it hurt and it stung, but it also felt oddly good. Not quite euphoric, but something adjacent. Not quite arousing, something adjacent. Let's just say it made me feel lighter, because suddenly I wasn't thinking about like, oh, that ex that hurt me, that other ex who hurt me, this other guy that hurt me, my fucked up family, oh, my social life, oh, my anything. I was just thinking, ow, my foot. At least the splinter's out, and ow, my foot, and how am I gonna heal this? And rubbing alcohol and band-aids on it and stuff, you know? Oh man, let me tell you. Oh, sorry, I got distracted talking to myself. I paused for a second. I don't just mean to sound eerily cheery as I talk about self harm. I was just thinking about this time I helped a guy get his eye contact out of his eye at my last job. It was gross. I was nice about it. I didn't need to, but yeah. But yeah, I guess that kind of gave an outlook. But I remember even before then, like freshman year of high school, I found two books that really helped enhance my perspectives. It was this book called Ask Anne, and it was a book about this young girl who suffered through like drug use. Like, it started with her being drugged at a party with her friends and having a fun time, and then eventually they kept pressuring her to keep doing it more and more, and started hounding her. And then when she did start doing it, she went way too far, and her life got really fucked up, and how she like destroyed her friends and family, and then how she got clean and sober, but then her friends got her back into it. Then she got clean and sober again, but sadly, whether it was because of bullying from her drug addict friends or isolation or whatever, let's just say she eventually sadly took a lot of pills and it was deemed a suicide, or it could have just been a simple overdose, but it was really sad. That story changed me a lot. Like, it was like, ah, oh, fuck, it's a lot more complex than I thought, I guess. And then another story was the book Cut. It talked about the story of this young girl who was in a psych ward program because I guess, she had a lot of issues. She had the issue of like her parents being neglectful and not supportive of her, but also judgmental and like kind of over suffocating her, but also not really giving her room to breathe, but then not being there for her when she needed it. And like how she felt parentified and how she felt bad about a mistake she made with her younger brother that she feels like fucked him up for the rest of his life, and how she kind of like, at first it started with just simple running. She would do this thing every morning. She would, or like any morning or any chance she would go outside. Didn't matter if it was extremely hot or extremely freezing fucking cold. She'd go out in a tank top and shorts and nothing else, and she'd just run. And she'd run and run and run, and even when she felt like she couldn't run anymore, she'd keep running because it distracted her. Eventually, she would get the runner's high, and that would feel good and euphoric, and she felt great doing it, but her mom still wasn't supportive of it. But also, I think at least this is how I interpreted it, it's also kind of like she did indeed get the runner's high, but she also felt good about it because she also was experiencing severe pain. Like, sure, she could get lost in her thoughts and, like, run and think to herself and feel bliss and be healthy and get endorphins, but it's like another aspect where she was doing it to the point where she didn't care if it hurt for her anymore. She didn't care about pain. She did it because she wanted to just, like, cause, like, it didn't matter that her knees were aching and her arms and body and spine and hips and legs burned, and how it was having a negative physical toll on her, and she was coming home exhausted and drenched in sweat, and her mother was actually getting a bit concerned. Like, she kind of like, that's how I interpreted it. It was like the first step, because there's different ways to self-harm. Once I learned that when I was younger, it was very interesting. But to finish off this one subject, I will say for the rest of the book, it does talk about how she did eventually delve into like cutting with like razor blades, knives, forks, broken plates that she could steal from the psych ward, all that, because it was her escape. And like when her thoughts got too bad and she didn't know how to handle the emotional overwhelm, she needed something physical, kind of like to release what she was feeling. Crying can be a release, yeah, but what if you can't cry anymore? What if you have such a traumatic childhood, or you don't feel safe to, or you don't know how to, or you've already cried too much and there's nothing left to do because the emotions are still there afterwards? People do a lot of strange things, what can we say? But it does help to get to learn why they do them, so we can learn ways to sympathize with them, understand them, and maybe even prevent them if we or someone we know is in similar footsteps. In fact, someone I had to cut off recently, JC, he told me about how his sister, he saw scars on her wrist and how he felt bad because he didn't know how to bring it up to her. Like, because, she's still just a little girl in his eyes. She's almost a legal adult, but it's like he never knew that she was that depressed for years. He is a self absorbed man. And I hate that he still hasn't to this day talked to her about it. Ugh, the stubbornness of some people, especially men, can really piss me off. But it just breaks my heart how it's like he doesn't know the first step in how to even talk to his own blood sister, who he's known and seen every day for years, about something so debilitating. And it doesn't help that people don't like to talk about this type of stuff, and I'm glad more people are, because it's extremely important. And I think it's an important conversation to have, because I remember when I was younger, it was this episode of Sweet Life on Deck on Disney, and I remember my sister at some point, I forget if she was talking to me or a friend, but knowing her, probably a friend. But she said that, like, the thing that the character Cody did on the show, where anytime he thought about his ex girlfriend, he put a rubber band around his wrist and then would snap it super hard. She said that was a form of self-harm because they can't show cutting on the show and they wanted to like kind of make a joke out of it, but I guess also bring it to light. That's a thing people do. There's multiple ways to self-harm. For example, just because like only until like this recent summer did I actually put a blade to my skin, and even that's a complex story in itself, but I mean, like I said, emotional overwhelm, bad situation, rapist ex, things happen. And let's just say it turns out you have to press a lot harder on a switchblade to your fucking wrist to kill yourself. Let's just say that. But don't worry, I had all the shea butter soap and aquaphor needed to heal up, and now it's like it never even happened, which is so surreal. And it's weird, my memory just wants to black out of my mind that it ever happened because it probably can't stand that I ever did something like that to myself. But what can I say? I wasn't feeling like myself, and I didn't know how to deal with anything going on around me. Felt like everything was crashing down, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I remember I ended things with like 3 people that day. Maybe even 4 people who I thought cared about me the most. Terrible. Hmm. But it is good to like learn about this type of stuff while you can. It could help someone else. Like, for example, did you know that taking 2 hot showers is a form of self harm? I remember when I was younger, I actually wrote a song about it because I remember that I used to take really, really, really long showers because it was the only place I could have total privacy and be alone with my thoughts. And, at first it was like, I learned that showers, warm showers, hot showers can be great for people because they can stimulate the feeling of a hug. And I couldn't remember the last time I had like a genuine hug or love shown to me. And then when more time passed, eventually it was like I did it more so to distract from my thoughts. I didn't care how I was doing so terribly. I remember I used such hot water one day that my body ached for days, just like it felt like the skin was peeling off every fucking where you can imagine. And it stung to the touch, and I couldn't lay down or sleep or do anything comfortably at all. It was terrible. I learned that taking boiling hot showers because you want your skin to scald off and you want to feel like you're not alive, or that you're slowly killing yourself, or that you're feeling some sort of warmth, that's a form of self harm. Same for taking freezing cold showers. If you feel like you always need to give yourself a cold shower just to give dopamine, or maybe even as some sort of self punishment, like there's a lot of ways you can self harm. You can punish yourself and self harm by like skipping meals on purpose, or allowing certain people into your life that don't deserve to be in your life, or doing certain habits that you know are bad for you. There's a lot of ways to self sabotage and self harm. It's good to keep track of it. Cutting is just the most popular one, and yet, funny enough, people don't want to understand it. They just want to mock it. And that's not cool. Like, and I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. So whenever I see someone in public and it's like, oh, you're wearing shorts and you have self harm scars, okay, you're just someone who went through a rough time. I'm glad you still get to exist. I will never understand people who see someone who's gone through such immense trauma and just go, oh my god, that's unsightly, put her away somewhere or whatever. It's like, nah, they deserve the right to exist. They fought for the right to exist, even when their own mind and their body were fighting for the opposite. That's a struggle, it's a challenge. I'm not gonna give a fuck if someone who cuts decides to like wear a bikini in public or go sleeveless on a shirt or anything, because they deserve the right to. Like, people go through hard times. Like, let people live their fucking life. I actually saw online someone was mocking this chick who cut up her arms and legs so much, and then someone retweeted it and said, oh, the internet loves to remind me that as much as I think I've grown and changed as a person, I will never ever ever be able to recover from mistakes I made when I was 13, as in self-harming. And that's pretty damn tragic. And the guy I was talking to recently, I liked him a lot because he made music on subjects that not many people speak about, like sexual assault for men and women, and like um familial abuse, and how it's like having like different siblings from different dads. And I liked him a lot. I really did. It's a shame that things have to be the way they did, but I can be a little sad about it, but it doesn't change the fact that I love his music, and maybe one day I'll be like, hey, sorry for saying your hairline was breaking apart like Pangea because God needed to humble you. I'm sorry for saying that. That was mean and uncouth. Maybe like we can talk again sometime over music, because I think you do have a talent and a spark. But anyway, with him, I did think to myself, like, he is a gorgeous and incredible man. Incredible man in every single way you can imagine. I am so, so happy. So, so happy that, like, I got to meet him ever. But he did make this one, I don't know. I've been kind of nosy today. I was going through his old tweets, and I guess I saw some tweets of his that kind of summed up the self harm mindset, and sadly made me like him more. He talked about how, like, cutting himself is like a form of release because, like, he went through a breakup at some point, and also he also lost someone that he loved and dated as well, and those both really fucked him up. So I guess it's like he would write song lyrics like, maybe if I use the blade I can cut out the parts of you that still reside within me. And that means, like, hey, maybe if I distract myself from the pain of losing you with self-harm, then it can help me slowly get over you. Because, instead, like, you're just gonna be, I get it. Like, it's the same reason that some people self-harm by drinking all the time. Me. And then some people self-harm through pills or do this or do that. We all have our habits. We all have our vices and what we use for distraction. Some distract themselves with love, some distract themselves with sex or razors or pills. Lots of different ways to do it. And I feel so bad whenever I meet certain people and it's like they gotta hide certain things about themselves. I don't know. I don't know, man. But I read some of his writings and I got moved, and I was like, you know what? Let me talk about this because it's something I haven't talked about on here. Not entirely out of shame. I wouldn't say shame, maybe embarrassment over who I was going to kill myself over. And also because I thought to myself, I don't want to give certain people ammunition or, like, I don't know. Let's just say I was having a rough summer, and like, why do you? If you're ever like, why does Tamia keep talking about that situation with that guy she broke up with? I almost lost my life over it. Of course, I'm gonna fucking talk about it. It's my page. But don't worry, you're hearing about him less, because he doesn't deserve to be known. And one day I'll forget all about him. So far, my version of self-harm, it hasn't been cutting. It's been waking up and not doing anything for the whole day, because I can't think of anything that brings me joy anymore, because I can't feel joy consistently. Or I'll have crushes on people and use them as a source of dopamine. And it'll work because, on one hand, I am lonely and I need more friends. On the other hand, it's like, there were signs things weren't going to work out with this guy, but he still led me on to a certain point, but damn. And then, a lot of alcoholism because my brain just has kind of stopped, like, functioning healthily in some ways. And it's been a pain in the ass trying to figure out how to get it all together. Even as I watch this video, I'm like, I'm so fucking pretty. I'm so astronomically gorgeous and interesting and intelligent and smart and caring. And I deserve better. I deserved better than that man. I deserved better than that fuck ass rapper who, sure, he's super cool and deep, but he's not for me because he doesn't treat me in a way that would foster more positive mental health in me. So, and it's like I deserve better than just like drinking all the time and laying down all the time. I deserve to feel good. I used to believe I would never be the type of person to ever hurt myself or harm myself. I'd never drink alcohol because it's a stupid fucking vice that is known to worsen your depression. I'd never cut myself because it would just make my life worse and it wouldn't make me enjoy my life more. It'd be a temporary distraction, but it wouldn't like it wouldn't suddenly make me realize yeah. But I got over it. If I recall correctly, I was really nice to myself after I cut my arms this summer. I was like, I'm going through a very rough time and I just need to focus on what makes me happy because I'm so unhappy that I did this. And I've never done this before in my life. So if I'm finally at this point, it's really, really bad. So I put Neosporin on my arms and rubbing alcohol when I could. I let my scars puff up and then totally vanish into my skin and melt and dissipate like cocoa butter. And I let it heal. And I allowed myself to rest and sleep and process my emotions, but privately. Because I didn't want to let anyone know what happened. I still don't want to tell the full story of what happened that summer for so many reasons, because I need more time to pass. Because all of it's so sad and embarrassing and irritating. But that did kind of help me leave him. That was the catalyst for me. It made me, because, oh my god. I remember with that specific ex-boyfriend, he went out of his way to degrade me. Like before, during, and after. He sent me more messages saying, next time, fuck you. Fuck you. Just kill yourself for all I care. Like mean shit. He didn't. I don't want to talk about him. He disgusts me. He did so much in the span of like a few weeks to just. It was so astronomically bad, but it's okay because it showed me that any step he could take to better his own life or mine, he would not take. He is the type of guy that's like, I'm gonna spend $3,000 on Angel fucking Youngs before I would ever get to near like the motherfucking $6.99 chicken wings that aren't in the flavor I like from Domino's. It's like and then it's like just there's more. I don't want to talk about it because I want to be happy. But if you're wondering why am I ever so happy when I talk about my progress that I've made in moving on from him, it's because I deserved better. I was so happy that after I almost took my life over that man and had several weeks of pain and terror and fear, and I almost lost my housing because of the bullshit. Oh my god, fucking asshole. Let's just say it meant the world to me that I finally was at a point where I was like, I focused on myself. I read web comics. I took nice showers. I wore things I wanted to. I went out to parties and social events and spent money because I realized, hey, if I take myself off this planet, I'm not going to enjoy any of this. I went to a Pride event for the first time. It was fucking terrible, but I went. And now I know I'm never going to go to a Pride event again because it was so fucking bad. Like, Jesus. I learned how to speak up for myself. I learned what I do and do not stand for. I learned um, what passions I do really, really want to achieve and which ones I don't. And I feel great about it. And that's what I want. I want a good fucking life. And then it felt good to me that at some point I just went, I'm going to cut off these friends because fuck them. I'm going to end my relationship with this guy because I actually realized, no, he isn't even bringing me joy now. And he's the only thing bringing me joy. And he's not even doing that right. I could just, like, hell, he's bringing me more terror than joy. Like, if I'm going to be suffering and he's just going to be there useless as fuck, not helping me process anything emotionally, only thinking about himself, and trying to, like, also have the nerve to want sex from me as if he didn't do a million fucked up things in the span of 2 or 3 weeks to me, if not more, like, gee, it's like, yeah, easiest cutoff ever. Because it's like, why are you yelling at me? Because I, like, and, oh, it's like, I just was like, hi, you're cool and all, but we've been through a lot recently, and I don't have that capacity in me to have text like that, so just please don't, I don't want to be texted things that are, like, sexual and horny right now, like, not even if they're joking. It's just not my speed. And then he was like, fuck you, then you always see me as some evil man. I'm just gonna abandon you then. I'm gonna leave, and you don't reach out to me even if you're sad, even if you're suffering, because you think I'm so fucking evil and all. And then it's like, okay, bye. And then he kept going on, going on. I said, okay, bye. He kept going on, bye. He blocked me. I didn't care. Time passed. And then by the time he really thought he could just chime in and be like, I got all my money back from the fucking. And also, by the way, it wasn't even the real Angel Youngs he was giving money to. It was like it was like some robot chicken looking deep fake where it was just like obviously a video from her OnlyFans or Instagram that was blurry as fuck with like the shittiest mouth moving overlay on top. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Robot chicken ass shit. How did he needs glasses? And he's very idiotic. So, yeah. I'm ashamed that I ever had any interest in that man, but I'm gonna let myself, like, let's leave the shame for the guy who should be more ashamed of himself, okay? I was someone who was willing to love someone, and give them a lot of chances and saw the best in them. They saw the worst in themselves and they took it out on me, and yeah, fuck that shit. Anyway. Ooh, so, yeah, that's why I feel joy whenever it's like, he tried to come back like, hey, Tamia, I got all my money back. I worked hard and got all my money back. So I got my house. I still have my place. Hope you're doing okay. Like, he tried to come back like almost a week later or some shit. And then he checked my Instagram story, and that's when he saw me in Lake Tahoe with this like sexy ass, fine as fuck, tan, muscular Colombian man with sexy, clear, like nice white straight teeth. He was hella mad. And then he got even more mad when it's like, okay, things with Lake Tahoe got ended as fast as they started. I'm still grateful for it. But then guess the fuck what? Bitch, I went out. I just like, oh my god. And then imagine you're the dude who was like, she's never gonna find anyone who likes her more than me, and she's never gonna find anyone better than me who can give her what I ever gave her. Yes, that's true, because the very next guy I dated was this younger guy, Riley, the one who was like thick as fuck, very cute. Like, oh my god, it's like ruby tennis bracelet, escape room, fancy Michelin star Thai food, burlesque show, matching sweaters, like all, like really all that good ass shit on the first date, and a romantic kiss on Fisherman's Wharf next to the fucking Ferris wheel. I'm just saying, like, whoo, you should have. And then when I got online, I was like, yeah, he wants to take me on a helicopter ride for my birthday. Oh my god, my ex was pissed off, raging in my DMs. And like that just made me more amused than anything, because I thought to myself, finally, someone else gets to feel the pain. Someone else gets to feel the overwhelm, and it's not me. Someone else gets to feel the shame, because why do I need to be the one feeling bad over loving or giving someone a chance, you know? And yeah, but even after that relationship and a few other like small flings here or there that ended poorly, let's just say it's still been rough. It's still been a process of I want to like it hasn't been easy, because then there'll still be days of me being ashamed I had friendships for longer than I needed to, or gave people more chances than they needed, or embarrassing moments where I should have walked away or cut someone off, but I couldn't afford to, or I just didn't like want to, or because I didn't feel like it was safe to, or my body was just so overwhelmed that sadly I was self harming by staying in that fucked up ass relationship because I didn't think I deserved better, or I didn't think better was in store for me and this was all I could get. And just, yeah. And then even when I left him, it was still like, okay, I guess I just have to, I'll do whatever it takes to push out the thoughts, because PTSD is rough. I've had it. Luckily, mine hasn't been so severe these days, but it's still rough. And so it's like, okay, I guess that means I'm going to have to self medicate with a whole lot of coffee and a whole lot of alcohol, endlessly, 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 and maybe even some random makeouts or flings here or there if it means I can have orgasms from someone who's not you. If it means I don't have to think about you. And even if it hurts, even if the hangovers and brain fog and inflammation and kidney pain and heart pain and everywhere hurts, at least it's not hurting from you. And that's really all it is. Hurting yourself because it'll distract you from the overbearing pain that you already experience. It's not as easy as I thought when I was younger. When I was younger, I thought to myself, I could just easily kill someone like that and get away with it. But sadly, some of us don't have it in us. Or I do have it in me, but it's like, let's just say I'd be pretty easy to trail back to. Mm-hmm. And then that would stress me out. No offense, I would ironically be the type where I would have a lot of emotional overwhelm. And then let's not talk too much about it. We don't have to talk scary hypotheticals right now, because I don't want the government to know too much about me. So, like, I'm just saying, let me get off that topic. Also, it's just like some of us have such overbearing emotional overwhelm, and we have to do certain things because, like, how do I put this? Sometimes I am good. Sometimes, like, it can be like, okay, I ended things with the person who I really cared about, or oh, I had this. Like, sometimes I am good at going, you know what, this needs, I need like a really good bacon cheeseburger with like maybe a Red Bull or mango juice and some chili cheese fries and a nice sunny day and to sit near the ocean for a bit and be relaxing. Sometimes that does help, but sadly, like there have been times where maybe it's not always possible to do that. So you take what you can get. If it means the blade or the cheap alcohol at the store, then you're gonna take what you can get. That's also a reason you should sympathize with homeless people who do drugs. Like, yeah, it's a bad idea to do it, but simply put, like if you're feeling like shit on the streets, being ignored by everyone, you just want a place to shower, you just want to eat or shit or do any of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, have any of them met, and you aren't, you're gonna do what you can. So if that means injecting yourself with heroin because it'll give you such bliss and make you feel normal in unnormal times, it means sadly that's gonna be a route people are gonna take. So be sympathetic. And then as for me, like, yeah, Self-harm is one of those things where I'm trying to get out of certain things that I know are bad for me, because it's like, hey, like I've been doing that recently. I've been weaning off of alcohol because it's like, okay, which do you think will make you feel better? Alcohol, which like will temporarily make you forget about things and focus on what's in front of you or whatever, but you'll wake up the next day or the next few days with massive health issues and like you're like worsened quality life and whatnot. Or would you rather just like bake some really good food, take a nice walk in the sunshine, play some really good music, do some skincare, take a nice shower that is warm, not scalding hot, make some artwork, watch an old movie or a new movie, and feel good? And like, yeah, sometimes you have to redirect yourself. Like, okay, do I really want to harm myself or do I want comfort? Do I really want sex or do I want intimacy and connection? Do I really want to cause pain to myself or do I want to just feel like I'm not suffering so much? Do I really want to cut or drink or do this, or do I need to process my emotions? So I've been journaling more and I've been on here being more candid about stuff because it's like, if I'm not, I'm going to get emotionally overwhelmed more often. And what good will that do? Then I'm going to fuck up my relationships by self sabotaging. I'm going to do other things that will worsen my quality of life. And yeah, I deserve better than that. I deserve to be happy with people who make me happy and things that make me happy. And I should not do things that make me unhappy. Because, and even the stuff that's hard to break, like if you're watching this, I'm just gonna let you know it takes time, but it's possible. You'll be able to break out of the habit eventually. There have been people who stopped cutting ages before and now would never dream to do it again. And there are people who have stopped drinking, stopped smoking weed or doing pills so much and focused on their ambitions and what they could do to make their life better. Because eventually you wake up and you're like, okay, which do I think would feel nicer? A hangover and some more bloody wounds that would ache whenever I try to take a shower or do anything good for myself and I'd feel embarrassed over? Or maybe I should like seek therapy or start a vlog or write out my feelings or be nicer to myself. So I guess if there's one takeaway from this video I can say, please be nice to yourself and others. You never know what someone is going through. It's good to be as kind as possible. And I am very glad that I met that musician guy, because even though things didn't work out, I am glad that I at least got to meet someone who is so interesting and cool, and have it be like, hey, this is a guy who I can safely be involved with. And I'm glad he was very open about his issues, because when I first ever like laid eyes on him, I just thought to myself, okay, here's some edgy white guy, like slightly edgy, probably a fuck boy. But then the more I got to talk to him, the more layered I got to meet him and see sides of him, and it's like, oh, and he was very open and candid about certain things about himself, and I found that beautiful. And yeah, I liked that I got to know him. Peace out. Bye.